Hey, welcome back to another episode of That Stupid Podcast. Dun, dun, dun.
It's Friday, people.
It is May 30th, 2014. Or as I like to call it, May 2030th, 2014.
2030th, because you like to mess up the date.
I like
But it's Friday, and what do we do on Friday,
Every
Steven?
Friday, we're doing Best Of.
It's the best of, and this week,
We're getting a little bookwormy on you.
we're breaking a little rule, and we're stealing. I'm going to reach out to the panel. We're grabbing from one of our other shows. Our other show is Bookworm, and it's the lovely ladies that do that show.
Yeah. If you haven't seen them, by the way, go check them out. Casey and Whitney would love to see
to
see you there.
Go click on their shows if you like books, things like that.
Absolutely.
Books and stuff and things. They
But
do
we're
all of
doing
that.
Our favorite 5 books.
That's right.
The
Our
best
favorite
of.
5 books.
And I think we might have done the list a little bit differently, which we'll kind of talk about, because you're doing as of all time.
I'm doing... Well, it's...
And mine, because it changes. My all-time favorite books, there's one that it will always be on, and that's I'm going to say that one for last, actually. But it tends to change, because as I read books, so most of my other 4 are more current books that I've read recently.
And I agree. So, I mean, kind of the same way here. And I'm not to say that they're my favorite of all time, but right now, these are my favorite books.
Right. So that's what we're doing. 5 favorite books right now. And I'm going to start you off with a little book called Rocket Boys.
Oh, really?
I know, it's a little surprising.
Well, yeah, kind of. What's the deal with that?
It's a great story. It's about Homer Hickam.
I know who it's, yeah.
Well, they may not know.
Well, tell them.
You're like, smart ass.
Oh, I got a funny piece of information about
it's about Homer Hickam, who is I think he's retired now, but he was a NASA... Dude was a rocket scientist.
He was a rocket scientist.
He was a NASA engineer. He trained astronauts. He never actually went into space himself, but he trained astronauts. He designed rocket boosters, all kinds of cool stuff. And this story isn't about his time at NASA. Oh. It's actually about his time as a teenager while he went to high school in West Virginia.
As a hick.
I can't remember the name of the town, but it was a coal town in, I believe, West Virginia.
It was.
And in fact, the town shut down in the 70s because once the coal mine shut down, that's it.
It was done.
The town's
over.
And it's about his journey in high school. It's a really good book. It was adapted into a movie.
Which I have something to tell you about.
In 96, 97, I'm trying to remember.
Funny thing is, they actually...
Jake Gyllenhaal, right?
The funny thing is, they filmed some of those shots, actually, around here in Tennessee. If you want me to be specific, it would be in La Follette. And if you're watching that movie very closely, and you look in the background of one of the field scenes where the people are gathered around... I'm an extra in that movie.
Are you really?
I am an extra in that movie.
All right. I'm going to have to go. I actually own that movie.
You should go check it out.
I'm going to go look at that.
I remember seeing it on TV back when I was a kid, and I was like, oh, there I am. Oh! And it's crazy.
Cool.
You see this blonde kid, and it's for like a split second.
That's the way it happens.
So, sometimes. And I was totally okay with it, because they had everybody who was they were like, hey, come out, we need extras. We're not going to pay you. Right. So, but that's,
The movie, by the way, because I didn't say the title, isn't Rocket Boys. It's actually called October Sky. I recommend you read the book, but it's a great movie.
It's a pretty good movie. It's a pretty good movie. And I'm not saying that just because I'm in it for like 0.2 seconds.
It was a great movie. So that's my first one. It's just a fun, kind of warm story. It's not... It's one of those... If you like to read about literally the underdog, this kid, he was not... I'm not saying he was stupid, but... Homer was not the smartest guy in the world.
He wasn't the smartest guy, and he really did have to try hard.
He had to learn, and he taught himself calculus. He taught himself trigonometry. He had a hard life. His father nearly died twice while he was growing up from accidents in the mine because he was like the foreman or something. Yeah. He did end up dying later of black lung disease because
worked in a coal mine.
Yeah, that happens, but. And Homer even dropped out of high school for a little while. This
kid had a hard life. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So great book, warm story, absolutely amazing, and a good read as well as a good movie.
So I'm going to drop my first one. My first one is actually going to be a combo story by the gentleman Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman.
I kind of knew this was going to be in your list.
It has to be. It's one of my favorite books of all times, and it is the most snarky apocalyptic book I've ever read in my life. Yeah. And it's called Good Omens. Yeah. It is a retelling of how the apocalypse was bungled by an archangel and archdevil, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse who are now motorcycles, a motorcycle gang. Yep. The devil talks to the archdevil through Queen tapes in his Bentley or BMW. Because that's how the devil communicates with me.
Freddie Mercury. If you're gonna pick the voice of the devil,
pretty much. So, and that was just, if you really like a story that's very well written, but also is very quirky dialogue and is just straight up hilarious.
And if you like Douglas Adams style humor.
Oh, absolutely.
They're very
similar.
Douglas Adams-y.
So I would say definitely check that book out.
Oh, I agree.
What's your next one?
My number 2 book is a book called Carly's Voice.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's actually not that old. It's only been out for a few years. It's about, and I forget her father's name, but Carly Fleischman and her father, and I forget his name. She's autistic. This book isn't a story about her. It's actually it's written in first person, both her father's and her voice.
Okay.
Now, Carly, being autistic, one of her biggest battles is communication.
Absolutely.
She still can't really talk much. I mean, maybe once in a while she'll get a word out.
But she can write
type.
And she can
She can type. She learned how to type. And for growing up, they thought she had an IQ that was basically nothing. And turns out Carly, who is now, I think she's 18 or 19, I believe. So I mean, this is literally not that old a book.
Yeah.
She's an amazing, amazing young woman, and this book, if it doesn't make you cry, there's something wrong with you.
Good to know.
I mean,
never read that book ever, because I would like to stay a man in the eyes of myself, so I don't read it in the mirror and just weep.
It is a beautiful book. If you go to Carly, I believe it's carlysvoice.com.
Does she have a blog?
Well, she's on Facebook. You can look her up for Carly's Voice, and yeah, you can read stuff there. But she has, if you go search Carly's Voice, there's a short 2-minute video that was done like last year in preparation of this book launch, and a website interactive that kind of lets you feel like this is what it's like to be autistic.
That sounds horrible.
It's very eye opening.
I don't doubt that, but it absolutely sounds terrifying.
It's very. She's in a coffee shop meeting her father and her sister, and it's just So it's very very beautiful. It's a great book. I know it's weird me talking about a book like that, but
yeah, I was gonna say thanks for dropping the bomb on me.
But it's a great book. It really is. So if you want a good read, I recommend Carly's Voice.
Well, since you're gonna bring that one out, I'm gonna throw this one out. The second one on my list is gonna be 1984, and if you haven't read that book,
2014.
Exactly, 30 years ago, and I don't believe 1984 was released in 1984. I believe it was released in the 60s or the 70s.
Yeah, it's a book's a lot older than that.
Yeah, it's absolutely a lot older of a book, but it is probably
and it's a Coke commercial.
Yeah, I guess.
Remember that?
I guess it kind of is. There's a lot of.
Or was it a Pepsi commercial? I don't even remember now.
I don't even remember. There was a lot of product placement in it
because it was Olympic. It was Olympic / Pepsi or Coke /
But
whatever.
the point about it is the reason there was a lot of product placement in it is because they were trying to push what the future was going to be. The future was going to be destroyed by the government and always being watched. And drink this product because this product is good for you. Oh,
Brando,
drink that.
It's got what plants crave.
Electrolytes, but plants like electrolytes.
Yeah.
And seriously, if you've never read 1984.
It's actually a great
book. Go read it and maybe look at, what our current situation and the situations of other countries are in right now.
And here's something. If Gattaca. That's an adaptation of that story in a way. If you like the show Continuum.
Don't know what that is.
Oh, you've not seen? Oh my God, you got to watch Continuum.
I have to check that out.
It's in its 3rd season now. It's all on Netflix except for the season. It's on Sci-Fi,
cool.
So go check it out. But if you guys like Continuum, you'll probably like 1984 because Continuum is very 1984-ish. Yeah, it really is. So,
but either way, go check that book out. It's really what it is. It's about government control and how the future and growth of technology was scary. And even for dudes inside the industry, it's scary.
Well, when Stephen Hawking recently said, and did say this, that he essentially believes that someday the machines will rise against us. He basically forecasted Skynet.
Yeah.
Like, thanks.
And if Stephen Hawking, who is half robot himself, has forecasted Skynet, you should probably pay attention.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I got a little scared. I'm going to
go the Ken Jennings way. I, for one, bow down to our robot overlords. All right, exactly. What's your third book?
Oh, he does those Woot podcasts. They're so funny.
I know.
You guys know the Ken Jennings. This dude that won all the Wheel of Fortune things.
No, a Wheel of Fortune, did he? Jeopardy?
Oh, right. Sorry. I said Wheel of Fortune.
Thinking Man's Game?
Yeah.
Tonight in the news, Ken Jennings gets really lucky and hits $3 million on a spin.
Well, it's definitely not a thinking game. You saw that guy with the...
That's right, the guy with
the $1 million he lost. Then he lost a car. Then he lost a...
he lost everything because he couldn't pronounce Achilles.
Achilles? What did he say?
Achilles. I was the Achilles tendon. Yeah, that's what it is. All right, so what's your
next book is Snow Crash.
That is such a good book.
It really is. Again, not an old book. This has only been out for a few years.
Who's it wrote that? I can't remember.
Neil Stephenson.
Neil Stevens.
I believe.
Neil Stephenson.
Yeah.
And that book is actually sitting on the top of my toilet. That is my reader when I get bored.
So if you like dystopian societies, you like a little bit of sci-fi, because it's not a whole lot of sci-fi, but it's just enough. It is a
little sci-fi.
And you like for the hero of your story's name to actually be hero protagonist.
Yeah.
The dude.
And it starts off with him driving this crazy overpowered Mustang as he's delivering a pizza, and the pizza has a timer on it, and he ends up driving through backyards to get to this person's house and wrecking the car into a pool, right?
He wrecks into a pool and he gets saved by this 15-year-old girl on a skateboard that is insane, by the way. It has like intelligent smart wheels and...
you can't fall off of it.
You can't. And she harpoons vehicles when she's on... I mean, we're talking like 100 miles an hour on this thing.
Bart Simpson jerks off to this thing.
She's got a bit of a crush on him, but she's only 15, so
it's like,
weird. It's weird. But if you like dystopian, if you like sci-fi, if you even like books that have slightly religious slants to them, because it kind of does.
If you're into the Technomage Shadowrun kind of thing,
even has a Matrix element.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great book.
It's what inspired Second Life, actually, as well.
Oh, is it really?
Snow Crash. The creators
of
Second Life said that their inspiration for Second Life was based on the
I can
classic
totally,
Snow Crash.
I can
and you
totally
can
see
understand
that. I can totally see that. So but yeah, it's just a great book. But it's set in post United States.
With that said,
yeah,
I think you'll appreciate my pick.
All right.
And I saved this one because I saw that one. That was the only one that I saw was on your list, and I was like, well, I'll wait on this.
All right.
I recently read this.
Okay.
And when I say read, I listen to it because I listen to a lot of audiobooks while I work out because, I like to get pumped up.
I burned my Audible subscription up.
Exactly.
So.
It's called Ready Player One.
I've not read this.
Ready Player One. I think you were the one who told me to read it.
I know, but I haven't read it yet.
You haven't?
I read reviews about it, and I wanted to get somebody else to read it.
Well, Ready Player One is probably the most amazing book I've read in a long time.
Oh, gosh.
And it is absolutely Snow Crash in a way.
Yeah.
Imagine this situation where a guy creates a Second Life universe, but it's full VR, full virtual reality. You can feel what's going on. You know what's going on. You can create anything, do anything in the world. But it's so big, and it's called the Oasis. It's so big that every piece of currency in the world now revolves around this. Everybody revolves around this. You go to school inside this.
Wow.
You game inside this. You do almost everything inside this thing. Now, with that said, the man dies. Now, he's obsessed with the 80s, and he leaves this awesome video will montage thing. And it's a contest. Whoever finds his Easter eggs
I have to read this.
will get all his money and all his share in the company for the Oasis. Now you have these people who are evil called the Sixers, who are an evil corporation trying to take over and get his power over that so they can charge everybody, because the Oasis is free as long as you have a console to get into it.
Right.
It's free.
Right.
And then there's some other protagonists in there which you will come to love, and you will fall in. I swear you will fall in love with these people.
All right. Well,
I'm
sold.
Amazing. Go check it out if you want the audiobook.
I have an Audible
It is on
credit.
Audible.
I have an Audible credit just waiting. I'm going to burn that up.
It's read by Mr. Will Wheaton.
Oh, Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton. All right, so what's your is that 4? I think that we've got number 4.
we got number 4 coming up right now.
All right, no, we'll see here.
Yeah, number 4 is about to hit. I'm about to drop.
Did I read my first one?
You might have read them in a weird order.
Okay,
I'm reading mine in a weird order.
All right. Oh yeah. This is your 4th one. Yeah.
Year 0.
No. Oh, that's the one you were trying to tell me to read, wasn't it?
Year 0, which is another book that has a very Douglas Adams type voice to it, because it's got snarky little bits. It's about a guy named Nick Carter.
Backstreet Boys?
Yeah. Yes. It's not the Backstreet Boy. Nick Carter is a musician's attorney. He's an attorney for record labels and stuff.
He wants it that way, and he'll get it that way.
And he is confused with that Nick Carter, because apparently in Year 0, the basic plot is very simple. The Refined League, this is the league of refined species in the entire universe, and there are only so many of them. They are people who have mastered the refined arts. The refined arts can be anything from decorating to literature to music, which is where we're headed with this book, to a lot of things. And apparently, no one in the universe makes music worth a damn. except for us. And we're amazing at it.
Apparently that's true. I mean, seriously, I mean, not gonna lie to you.
And it was the Cotter moment.
Welcome back.
It was the Welcome Back Cotter song that hooked the universe on our music.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. And that, in fact, it's so much so that how they keep time was redone. Like in the Bible, it's BC and AD.
Yeah.
Before Cotter.
Oh wow. Oh, I gotta. Is this on Audible?
It is on Audible. It is on Audible. It's a great book. But here's the plot key. Essentially, they've been copying and distributing all of our music.
Yeah, so were we suing the universe?
Well, we're not suing them, but because the Refined League holds true any laws that have been created at the destination.
No, the MPAA.
Yeah. So the entire universe owes us more money than the universe has,
worth,
basically. And that's the main draw around the plot. And hilarity ensues.
So the universe has been BitTorrenting the everything from Earth forever.
Yeah, since 1976, basically, when the Cotter moment.
All right. Well, my next book, my fourth book, is gonna be by Max Brooks, which is the Son of Mel Brooks, and is, in my opinion, better as an abridged audiobook than it is as an actual full-on book.
Really? Because I don't usually like abridged.
It's amazing.
I'm an unabridged guy. I gotta be honest. If I'm doing audio, I gotta do
the book is World War Z. Now, the reason that I've read both the physical copy and the abridged version. Okay. The stuff that they leave out of the abridged version of the audiobook is worthless crap that were boring to me anyways when I read the book.
So how does the abridged version compare to the movie then?
Well, the movie, actually, if you look at the movie, the movie would be considered a story at the end of the abridged version of the book. Because they're all independent stories. Now, the cool thing about the audiobook for this is since he's Mel Brooks' kid, and he's got a lot of people in Hollywood, we're talking people like Alan Alda doing voices, Rob Reiner, you've got Henry Rollins, you've got John Tucci or whatever the guy.
It's dramatized.
It's perfect. Everybody plays the perfect voice, and you're sitting there and you're listening to it, and you're like, why do I know this person? Why do I? And then you realize it's Henry Rollins plays the security. Have you read the World War Z book?
I have read the
Henry Rollins plays the security guard.
Oh God.
Yeah, and it's brutal because Henry
Why
Rollins
does he always do that? Like in movies, he plays like the warden, the security guards. Yeah,
because it's Henry Rollins.
I love Henry Rollins. We've had that discussion already, though.
All right, so we're coming down to it. What's your big daddy?
My number one book, and it's interesting because people are gonna go, "This isn't a book. This is a series of books," and it's true. It's actually 5 books.
I have a feeling I know what it is.
But since I have them all bound in one volume, I can call it a book. I can call it a book.
Technically, it is a book in my opinion too.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and its subsequent 4 after books.
Don't forget Bring Tao.
Well, I mean, you get Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Mostly Harmless, So Long, Thanks for All the Fish.
The Restaurant at the End of the Universe.
Restaurant at the End of the Universe, which is technically the second book. I kind of skipped it by accident. But, so you get these books, and it was funny because not the first episode of Bookworm.
Oh, it was the second or the third where you guys talked about it. Casey,
I was on. This is before Whitney became the kind of permanent co-host, and I was trying to help Casey out a little bit. And I made her read that book, and she hated it.
She hated it.
She didn't even get through.
She was like, "I'm done."
It's horrible.
Table flip.
I was hurt.
I know.
I was very hurt. It's a great book.
It is a fantastic book. Don't see the movie.
No, God, no.
If you're gonna do the BBC, do the BBC radio.
The radio. Well, so that's how it started. A lot of people don't realize.
It started as the radio. It
started, as what he wrote for that, and he's gone now. But when Douglas Adams started writing these, it was that, and then he wrote the Dirk Gently novels. The 2 Dirk. By the way, those are good too. They're not on my list. Oh, they're great. All right. And then the Salmon of Doubt was going to tie those 2 universes together.
Never got around to it.
And he died.
Yeah, he kind of
had a heart attack.
He George R. Martin'd out.
Well, yeah. That's sad.
Thank God we'll be able to finish Game of Thrones. Will you? Will you?
Well, you know what he's done.
Yeah, he's told HBO how it all ends.
Yeah.
So that they'll be able to tie up.
So even if he doesn't get to finish the book, the show...
But we'll never know how the book was actually supposed to come full circle.
Well, in his voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he doesn't make it in his voice, we won't know, which does kind of suck.
It does suck.
So
especially how pissed people have been about this season of Game of Thrones.
Hang on, dude. That's all I'm saying. Just hang on.
All right.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
So my last one is probably not something anybody will expect from me.
Ooh.
It is a child's book. I guess you could call it. It's children's literature. It's young adult.
Is it Samuel L. Jackson reads Go the Fuck to Sleep?
Go to sleep. No, it is not. It
is hilarious. I have that audiobook. Sorry.
No, you're fine. It's also a movie. that I loved as a child, and
Okay.
I didn't realize that I had read the book until after I'd seen the movie, and then I went back and read the book. And I actually go back and read this book about once every year to 2 years.
Ooh, lay it on me.
And it's a Pulitzer Prize-winning book. It is called The Phantom Tollbooth.
I have not read this.
And it is a fantastic book, fantastic
and I
movie
don't think
as
I've
well.
ever seen the movie.
Movie's from
is
the 70s.
It also called The Phantom Tollbooth?
It is,
the movie?
and it's a live-action movie that goes into a cartoon that comes back into a live-action movie. It's about this little boy who is kind of stubborn and stuck up. No, it wasn't.
Oh, okay. No.
And he goes into the land of rhyme and reason. Or the land of...
Is that like the land of make-believe? Is Charlie the Trolley going to come out?
Kind of, sort of, in a way, but, he meets one of his friends who's the spelling bee.
Okay.
So he has to spell a bunch of words that he ends with. He meets
Why
Max.
does this sound familiar to me?
He meets Max the dog, who is a dog but has a clock built into him and stuff. And
I think I have seen this movie.
and
This is all sounding familiar.
And he falls into the doldrums within the first part of the movie. But
wow.
what I was realizing as I got older and continued to read this book over and over is it's a metaphor or an allegory for depression and bipolar disorder and basically a lot of things and trials and tribulations that you go through completely through like puberty and things like that. And it's weird because I go back and I read it and there's always something new that I notice every single. I'm 28 years old. I'm a grown ass man.
No,
and I'm still learning. You got jokes. Hey, puberty last week. It's all good. And I'm still going through this book and finding new stuff every single time.
That's awesome.
It's weird.
That's great.
It's fantastic. So did you have an honorable mentions for this week?
Well, for me, it would either be the Dirk Gently novels that I kind of already mentioned.
Okay.
Just because I freaking love Douglas Adams, right? Because it's Douglas.
Yeah.
Or, because I got to thinking about, should I do an honorable mention? And I've talked about some of these books, and I started going through some of the books that I've read recently, and I'd have to say Red Shirt.
Red Shirt. Okay.
And specifically the audio version, only because it too is read by
Will Wheaton.
Yes, Mr. Will Wheaton, who, by the way, does a very good job. I love Will. He's
Wheaton.
But
you and I still got to tussle, Wheaton.
And Red Shirts is basically what you think it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just so you know. So.
All right. Well,
unless you're not a Star Trek fan, then you're like,
who's the Red Shirt? I don't. Who's Will Wheaton? My honorable mention was, and it was a toss up, and I couldn't justify putting either one of these on my list because I felt like I was saying the Beatles. No offense.
Oh yeah.
I really felt like I was pulling a move that was just.
Well, I saw your honorable. You
saw it on the list, yeah.
And it's a good book.
And it's Fight Club.
Yeah, it's a good book. Though.
And the other one that I wanted to list as an honorable mention was Haunted. It would be by Chuck Palahniuk. It's the collection book.
Right.
And those stories are absolutely disturbing if you're not familiar with one. Chuck Palahniuk talks about the situation where a kid is jerking off in a pool
of children's
with his pants
tears?
down.
Sorry,
and
Cards Against
his
Humanity.
ass gets sucked down to the pool filter area that sucks.
What the hell?
And the kid passes out because it rips half of his colon out through his... Yeah.
It's a horrible book.
No, the worst part is that you realize that he wakes up in the hospital. Who caught him with his pants down and his hands around his Johnson with his butt being sucked out by the pool? That is an awkward... Was that his mom? I would just be like, hey, Mom, I can never talk to you again. We should just never see each other. Okay, bye.
I just had a movie moment, World's Greatest Dad.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean...
Great dark film.
You haven't seen that.
Nailed it, Robin Williams.
Yeah, he really did. So, there were a lot of honorable mentions. We'll talk about... I want to talk about maybe a couple other ones that I didn't make the list. The Sookie Stackhouse novels, for me, is on there.
Sookie.
I like True Blood, which
I'm
is
a
coming
True
back
Blood
this,
fan,
but I
up
really
until a certain season.
really do like the books. So.
Well, I think that's all we got for the best of, and I think that's all we got for this week of That Stupid Podcast. Am I wrong?
No, because it's Friday.
Friday. Go out, do your thing, have a good weekend, and you know what? We'll see you on Monday.
And if there was news that happened on Friday of the week that we're taping, I'm sorry.
Actually, if there's any news, you'll probably see it if you follow us on Facebook.
Oh, right. Because they don't just have to watch our show.
Nope. You can always get the updates by liking our Facebook page. Make sure to set us as follows so we'll always pop up in your feed, too.
I wish I knew all about our Facebook page. Thank you, sir.
It's awesome. Hey, if you guys have best of books, make sure to drop them on our Facebook page. Make sure to put them on the post them at the bottom of the YouTube. Subscribe. Or holler at us. Give us a call. Leave us a voicemail. Stupid 9.
Or email show@thatstupidpodcast.com. And we will see you not tomorrow, We'll see you next week.
Don't forget, Monday, E3, possible live broadcast. We'll see what's going on. We out.